Well, hello there, troopers, and welcome back to General Kenobi's bunker. That's right, it's your favorite general in the Grand Army of the Republic, General Kenobi here. Thank you for joining me on the high ground this week. So, sorry about last week's stream. First of all, something came up as usual last minute, and I had to basically postpone it, and then it just kept getting postponed. So here we are. Um, we are basically joining two streams today. So we do have a lot to talk um, about this little TV show called Kenobi. I don't know if you guys are watching it. I hope you are because I want them to make more of it. So that's the only how we're gonna get more is by watching it. So hey Jose, thank you so much for joining me, man. Appreciate it. Hello. Okay, so um, like I said, we got basically two episodes to talk about, and and then we're gonna talk about a little bit of what our expectations should be and what we think might happen at the series finale tomorrow. Um, if you guys haven't heard, it is going to be an hour and a half long, so basically 90 minutes, which is good because I feel that the rest of the episodes have been kind of short in the sense that they promised us that they were going to be an hour long episode, and we haven't really gotten that from besides like the first and second episode. So hopefully, we do get a longer episode, and hopefully we wrap up some things that are still to be, they're still kind of up in the air right now, and we'll talk about some of those as we go through the episodes. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get started. And again, guys, since we didn't have a stream last week, we're going to talk about episode 4 first. Then we're going to jump over to episode 5. So we'll try to cover some of the main points, some of the stuff that I noticed, some of the stuff I didn't quite like too much, and some of the stuff the internet didn't quite like too much. So hey, same here, man. So far, what StarWars.com and Disney Plus published, it says series finale. So I'm hoping that is not the case, and I'm hoping they change that. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. All right. So let's jump into episode 4. Like I said, we're gonna cover episode 4, then episode 5, then we're gonna talk a little bit of what's coming. So just in case you don't remember, episode 3 left with Leia being captured by the Inquisitors. And so, of course, my man, Obi-Wan Kenobi, has to go rescue her. But he gets whooping in the hands of none other than Darth Vader. So episode 3 is where Obi-Wan Kenobi got burned by Vader. And so Obi-Wan had to be rescued by Tala from the path, and that's where the episode 4 picks up. And of course, we have some back to tank scenes. Yay! Yeah, I don't know what it is with with Disney shows for Star Wars, but man, they love their back to tank scenes. So Obi-Wan could not escape it, I guess. You know, he it was a cool scene, I guess, because they mimic the way he was in the back to tank to the way that Vader uh, was in the tank as well. So I did like that. That was a nice like mirror image, of basically both of them suffering at the same time. So that was good. But man, I could go for a Star Wars show that doesn't have a back to tank like Dream or Vision. Um, So I'm hoping they don't do that anymore. So we learn that Leia has been taken to the Inquisitor's fortress, the Inquisitorium, right? And so obviously we gotta go rescue her. Obi-Wan talks to the people at the path mainly Ice Cube Jr. And he flip flops quite a bit. So first he says, "No, we're not gonna risk everything just for one kid," and then he's like, "No, you know what? You're right. We are gonna risk everything." So Tala goes with Obi-Wan. They infiltrate the fortress, and we do get a scene where Tala is on the inside, and Obi-Wan is swimming towards the one of the, I guess, secret entrances, and we saw this image where he has that rebreather like apparatus around him, and I actually enjoyed that a lot because that reminded me of Episode One, of course. That scene when uh, Obi Wan, Qui Gon, and Jar Jar are swimming into the Gungan city, the one that's underwater. So they were using the exact same rebreathers. So I thought that was a nice nod. I thought that was cool. So um, Obi Wan gets in. He starts tracking down um, Leia, and here I run into the first like speed bump, and it seems like a lot of people did as well. So young Leia is being interrogated by Reva, right, the third sister. She's basically asking her where the path is. If you don't remember what the path, it's the organization that's helping both Jedi and Force sensitive children escape the Empire, right? Because we don't know what they're doing to them, not yet, anyway. And so Reva is trying to get Leia to give up the location of the base, right? Where were they supposed to be taking her? Where is Obi-Wan, in all of this? Now, here's the thing. So Reva tries to trick Leia into telling her, right? Um, but Leia, being the smart girl that she is, doesn't fall for the trick. So Reva, being Reva, she gets exasperated, right? She gets mad, she gets flustered. So she decides to um, basically like force herself onto Leia's mind. Again, use the force, right, to try to break Leia's mind, but she can't, right? She is not able to. She says, that Leia is very strong, and we all know why Leia is strong in the Force, why Leia has a strong mind. Um, but this was a little bit rough because the internet, of course, is saying, how come an Inquisitor, a trained Jedi hunter, right, slash killer, if they've been basically stealing babies and force sensitive children and hunting down Jedi for the past 10 years, how can an Inquisitor not detect that if Leia is resisting her in the Force is because Leia is force sensitive or is strong with the Force? So that's been a big gripe on this episode. Now, the way I've been trying to handle things that don't fully sit with me or I don't find like a good reason for is to try to wait it out. Okay. Um, as an example, The Mandalorian, Din Djarin, right? From the beginning, people were like, okay, why doesn't he take off his helmet? That's weird. No, Mandalorian never did that before. Like they always take off the helmets. They don't care. How come this guy's so obsessed without, you know, about not taking off his helmet? To which I said, you know what, just wait. Let's see. There's a good reason. And then season one of The Mandalorian ended without them explaining anything about why he didn't want to, why he couldn't take off his helmet. Why was it different? But then season two came out, and it turns out that Din Djarin is part of a more extremist faction within the Mandalorians, right? So they're very very old school. Um, so there you go. We got our explanation why Din Djarin was different, right? Why the other Mandalorians that were with him, why were they different? Now, it did take a little bit, right? I'm not gonna say it took years almost for for us to get a satisfactory answer. Hey, what's up, guys? Um, and so going back to this, yeah, I understand how can an inquisitor that's specifically trained to track down force sensitive children and force sensitive beings and Jedi, right? How could she not know that Leia is force sensitive? Again, my answer, let's just wait it out, okay? We still have one episode, the longest one in the show. There might be a good explanation for it. If I had to guess, it has to do with what was revealed about Reba in episode 5, and we'll talk about it when we get there. So let's put a pin on this for now, and let's just keep going talking about episode 4. So, young Leia is being interrogated, right? She doesn't give up the location, and then of course Obi-Wan comes in, and he's going around the Inquisitor's fortress, the Inquisitorium, um, in trying to find Leia. And while doing so, he finds a weird chamber, right? Where they basically Jurassic Parked a bunch of Jedi's, or what we assume are Jedi's, and probably force sensitive, sorry. So they basically have an amber collection of Jedi in the basement. Now, I absolutely love this scene because one, it raises so many questions because the grand majority of the characters that were shown, we don't know who they are. Two, it shows that the Empire, and specifically the Inquisitors, they have been keeping, Jedi corpses basically to be experimented on, right? And again, back in the expanded universe, which is now called Legends, there were all sorts of experiments that Palpatine did with both Jedi and force sensitive children. So, so we know that he's pretty deep about it, but here in canon we don't know anymore, right? We don't know exactly what he's doing. We know that he kept sort of going, right? We know that Grogu was part of that also, many years after this, in the Mandalorian. And so the only one that stands out with an act that we have seen before for sure is this middle character. Now his name is Master Terra Sinube. Terra Sinube came out in the Clone Wars TV show in a couple of episodes where Ahsoka actually lost her lightsaber that was stolen, and she has to go get it in Coruscant, but she has to infiltrate basically the underworld, right, where all the bounty hunters and all the criminals hang out. And Master Terra Sinube helps her out. Now he's pretty old, but he was actually very powerful, when it came to fighting. And of course, he taught Ahsoka that the value of patience, right? Take your time, do the legwork, don't be so rash, all of that. And now we see him here, so we kind of know that it didn't go so well for him, probably during Order 66 or in the 10 years after that, right? Again, on some of this, it's closing down some of theories, right? Like for him, we didn't know what happened after Order 66. Now we kind of know, right? At least after 10 years. So the kid, I think the kid is actually the one that came off on the first episode of Obi-Wan when they're showing the younglings during Order 66. And let me see if I can find that picture real quick, because I think, like I said, I'm almost sure that he came out as well. So it kind of looks like one of these right here. This is a bad picture, but I think he's one of these. So it's kind of sad to see that it didn't work out for him either, right? And it's kind of even worse that they actually show his like frozen expression of fear, right? Like he basically got caught at that like horrible moment, which is again, I dig it, but it's one of those things that you're like, oof, it just adds another layer of, man, the Empire or the Inquisitors, they're pretty evil, right? And we got some more characters. There was plenty, but we got some more characters that we haven't seen before. Now, one of the theories was that Quinlan Voss was actually in one of the chambers. It was one of the males. I really don't think so. Um, I think they would not have gone to the extent of basically confirming that he survived Order 66 just to have him show up here in Amber. Um, so I don't think Quinlan Voss was in that chamber. But it's gonna be interesting to peel back, who those characters are, and if they might be new characters, right, coming up. And so uh, Obi-Wan finds Leia, of course, and of course, they find Obi-Wan, and yes, exactly. That is exactly what I think as well. Quinlan Voss is, it, to my opinion, too good of a character to just kill off screen and just mention him that he's alive, and then the next episode, oh yeah, never mind, he's not. He's already frozen. I don't think so. I still have hope that we're gonna see him in live action, but we'll see, I guess. Um, and so Obi-Wan finds Leia, and he is obviously being pursued um, by stormtroopers. Oh, before I forget, so one thing I did like about this scene that made a connection to Rebels. If you guys haven't watched Rebels, do yourself a favor and power through that first season, and then after that it gets really good. But in one of the first season, I believe, or second season at this point, uh, Kanan Jarrus, who's trying to train young Ezra, is frustrated because he's not doing a good job, and so the Empire leaks that they're actually moving Luminara unduly from a high security prison to another, and they go to try to rescue her. Anyway, the point is, it was all a trap by the Grand Inquisitor, of course, and she shows up. It was basically like a hollow projection on top of her actual corpse, which I thought was awesome because I've never seen that before. But this is kind of what she looks like, and if you notice, she's also sort of preserved like these guys are. So I thought that was a good connection, um, and I actually really like the idea that this was like standard procedure for dead Jedi to be encapsulated and try to be preserved, probably for genetic sampling, things like that. So it's bad enough that they were all killed. Uh, Again, this just adds like another layer to their failure. Um, they lost their bodies even after death, so that sucks. Yeah, man. Yeah, I love Rebels. It became one of my favorite like Star Wars anything. But oof, that first season is, yeah, that like I said, if you can power through it, all the better. But it is worth it for sure. Um, so anyway, going back to Obi-Wan, I loved that he is starting to like dust off, the cobwebs for his fighting. Um, he was such a better fighter this episode than what he was in episode three. In episode three of the show, not episode three of the saga. Episode three of the saga, he's like that's his top. Um, but I really liked that we see him, busting some moves. He's more proficient. He's deflecting, the shots. He's taking down like at least a dozen stormtroopers just on his own without breaking a sweat. I really, really like that. Again, that we're starting to see like the moves, uh, you know, being brought back. And along those lines, he had this scene where a stormtrooper shoots I guess the glass that's holding back an entire ocean, right? They're on in the under levels of the Inquisitorium, and so he immediately just like uses the force to hold the glass together, and so he's basically pushing back like an ocean's worth of water, and I just love it. It just looks amazing. Then of course stormtroopers are rushing him, and so he lets go and like floods the chamber with the stormtroopers in there. Stormtroopers had it bad this episode. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think this is yeah they it just went bad for the poor stormtroopers. Um, we did get to see purge troopers phase one. Apparently, it was later clarified. Um, but I feel they were kind of wasted. The purge troopers. In case you don't know, they're the all black ones with the kamas. Uh, um, they looked awesome, but I felt they didn't really like stood out in terms of the fighting. I would have liked to see at least a couple of them like getting closer, or maybe even had a how do you call it, a better shot at Kenobi. I don't know, something to basically make him stand out. But they look really good. I'm obviously gonna buy that figure when it comes out. Um, but yeah, so after Kenobi, grabs Leia, rescues her. Then we come to my speed bump, and more over the internet's speed bump number two, and that has to do with this. So the way they escape the Inquisitorium is by walking, first of all, through the front door. Second of all, disguised as Imperial officers. Well, to be fair, Tala is an Imperial officer. She's still active. Um, but Obi-Wan basically just puts over an overcoat, and she has Leia in there. Um, that was a little bit, to me, at the moment that I was watching it, to me it was comical. Um, but then it just sort of kept going. So I thought they were gonna, make it like a small gimmick, right? That basically they walk out to the main area where all those stormtroopers and officers and deck officers are, and that was gonna be it, right? Like somebody would notice them, they're going to fighting. But no, these guys just kept going and going, like just walking, and it got to the point where the other Inquisitors basically walk right past them, right? Um, yeah, man, I agree. That scene with him just holding down the water with like one hand, I was all for that. That's the Kenobi I've been wanting to to see, and I do like that they're building up to it, right? Uh, Again, I've talked about that. I'm on board. Um I'm on board with the I guess the slow progression, right? He lost everything. He was down, uh, traumatized, out of disconnected from the force, and now we slowly see him like sort of ramp up again to more or less where he was before. Uh, but anyway, coming back to the scene, I didn't particularly mind it, like I said at the beginning, but they just kind of kept dragging on. The Inquisitors go past them; they don't notice them until Leia picks her head off, like out. I mean, of the coat, and of course, by that point, it's just too obvious. Uh, a lot of people had a big issue with that, like, oh, how can that be and stuff. Again, I didn't. It was a little bit of a speed bump for me, but it didn't derail the episode by no means. Like some people say it did. I enjoy it. Star Wars, it's a space opera, right? So there's always gonna be like a touch of silliness. I don't particularly mind it. Like I said, I just maybe do it a little bit shorter in length. But again, the internet went over this like they went crazy. Hey, honey, thanks for tuning in. Love you. And so there's no way out, right? They obviously they start shooting. Um, they're trying to shoot their way out. Um, Obi-Wan included, by the way. Obi-Wan is shooting, stormtroopers, and they're trying to find coverage. Reva's coming, the other Inquisitors, etc. And then when all seems, lost, these guys pop in. We get I guess, a callback to some T-47s. We know them as snow speeders from The Empire Strikes Back, and of course these are not, these were modified for the cold. These were like used to like hold stuff around, um, but they still got functioning weapons, so that's all that matters. And so these guys, basically come in, do a few strafing runs, and get those um, stormtroopers out of these guys back. And then Tala, Leia, and Obi-Wan climb on board of one of those. Which, again, I'm not an expert on the ships themselves, um, but I do know they have a lot of space for uh, for cargo. So maybe they were just crammed in there. It doesn't look like it from the shot, right? That he would have space for 3 more people plus the pilot. But again, it's just one of those things. I just roll with it. Again, I'm not gonna like ding them on that, because where else were they gonna put him? I did like a lot that the path is sort of starting to shape up to what we know as the Rebel Alliance, right? Or at least the way I look at it is the path is the cell or the department within the Rebel Alliance that handles force sensitive people, right? Jedi, children, etc. So I feel that it's kind of like, how the rebellion, when it was starting at least, had different cells and they didn't know each other, because if one was captured, the other ones would be safe. Again, this is covered in Rebels, and you can skip to like the end of season 1 / beginning of season 2 to learn this stuff. You don't gotta watch the whole thing. And so that way, again, if somebody was captured or anything like that, then it wouldn't be bad for the entire rebellion. Yeah, like I said, again, it's we're talking about a TV show about space wizards, right? So I always try to take it with light heart as much as I can. Um, but yeah, people really, yeah, yeah. So that was gonna be my next comment. I'm glad you brought it up. Like my man Archer is mentioning. So when the two fighters, one of them is covering, the other one goes in to pick them up. Then she takes off and tells the other fighter that was covering them, "Hey, let's go." And so Reba uses the Force, grabs a fuel cell. I'm assuming, some sort of energy uh, storage, some sort of battery, probably ammunition, and throws it at the speeder with the Force, and it just explodes and it just comes down. And I kind of like that a lot. Like, they didn't bring him down, by shooting him down. Like, she brought him down by throwing something with the Force, which was really cool to see. Um, yeah, yeah, exactly. I remember the line being there. I just don't remember the line exactly. Where they did cover it. So again, it's not like he came out of nowhere. So again, I'm not gonna ding them on that. Um, all the better to see let's call it a classic ship, right, from the original trilogy. So I'm all for that every time. Yes, exactly. So that's why, right? And people can tell you, oh, it was done in the 70s and 80s. Like, shows were sillier then. I say that's fine. That's what we want, right? We watch these shows because it brings us to back to that like nostalgia, right? Of when we were kids watching the original content or watching the old movies. So I'm all for it. Again, the internet has not been kind to the show. I don't know if you guys know or not, but they've been pretty rough on it. And we'll cover some of that in a little bit. So, uh, So yes, the gang escapes, right, and they're back to Jabim. Um, Ice Cube Jr. picks him up in another ship, which I thought was cool too, because the bigger ship, this one just comes inside and they jumped into hyperspace. They go back to Jabim, where the path has a base. So, um, yeah, dude, that like I said, that's in Chef's Kiss for sure. And so we're back to Jabim again, where well, not the rebels, but well, sort of the rebels have a base. Um, and so, um, oh man, absolutely, exactly. I don't know why people have to just nitpick, and it's like they're just trying to be mad at something, right? So again, I'm all happy for him. Anyway, so Vader comes into the scene, and man, he has like the meanest like hallway walk ever. Like this is like the CEO about to fire the guy that leaked all the trade secrets onto the internet, by accident. Um, so he's just like fast pacing, walking down the hall. He gets to the little cafeteria where all the Inquisitors hang out, and he just like doesn't say a word. Immediately, just force chokes Reba, and everybody's like, "Ooh, you done it now. You messed up, right?" Now I'm sorry. I I hate to be like nitpicking about this show because I really do love the new content, but there's just something about this scene that I cannot get behind. So this is the scene when when Darth Vader comes in, again, little cafeteria where all the Inquisitors hang out. There's the fifth brother and the seventh sister. I forget her because I don't know her that much. Picks up, Reba, but just take a look at I think my gripe with it is the angle of like the legs. Um, it's like she's standing on like on something, or being pulled from a wire harness, but at the hip, not at the back. I don't know. There's just something that that doesn't sit well like visually, and I think it also has to do with her feet. Look at her feet; they're like at like 90-degree angle. I mean, if she was being picked up by the neck, her feet will be like just hanging out down. Um, so I'm trying not to be that guy, but this here, I don't know. It, it just kind of like baffles me a little bit that with as many people as are involved with the show, special effects, editors, directors, etc., that everyone checked okay on this particular post. And again, the scene is beautiful. The scene is amazing, but everything around it, like the background, it was awesome. The obviously Vader, the stormtroopers, everything, but it took me away from it. I have to say this sort of, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it was because she was super stiff. I don't know. It just it didn't jive with me. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but that has been a gripe of mine. Oh, Ice Cube. They thought it was Quinlan. That would have been cool, actually. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. There you go. You called it. That's exactly what it is. That's Shredder Walk. We'll call it that. Um, oh man, yeah, I hear you on that one. I was excited when they showed that there was going to be obviously several Inquisitors. I had hoped to see them all. I guess I don't know. Again, we still have the last episode. We might, but it's kind of pointing to we will not see them all. But I agree, man. They've just been kind of bickering and going around in circles. So um, I hope they improve that for sure. So yeah, that is my one gripe for real. for this episode. Again, just visually, you have everything working on this scene that's so beautiful, so perfect, so well done and crafted to present you with a good like visual frame. And then you have that, right? You have that weird, not floating yet floating pose. So, so yeah, that's and like I said, she gets out of this force choke by saying that she let them go, right? She basically planted a tracking device on Lola, by the way, uh, Leia's little droid, which is super cute. And also, I don't know if you guys know this, but Carrie Fisher, when she was a kid, around 10 years old, like Leia is on the story, she had a pet bird, and her name was Lola. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought it was super awesome that they're actually doing that. It's little, nuggets of information like that that made me love, the guys behind this um, even more. So that that's it for episode 4. What do you guys think? Like I said, I enjoyed it. I really really enjoyed the like I said the pull. I guess the coming back of Obi-Wan to a certain degree. We see him a lot more powerful, and like I said, we see him fight quite a bit more. He's even striking his old poses and doing some of his old like battle moves. Uh, and I totally enjoy that. Pause for dramatic effect. All right, some liquid courage there. Um, yeah, man, I mean, Vader has been stealing the show for sure, right? Which we know he would kind of do, but I didn't think they were gonna use him this well, honestly. Yeah, my head's off to Vader in this show. Okay, so let's. Sorry, I spent a little bit too much on episode 4. Let's just go ahead and jump into episode 5. This is last week's, and we got quite a bit on episode 5 as well. So let's just get started. So first off, we get a flashback with none other than Padawan Anakin, portrayed by the one and only Hayden Christensen. Now, again, people have been, on this poor guy. Yes, he looks old. What did you expect? It's literally 20 years after he played this specific iteration of the character. Literally. Episode 2 came out 20 years ago. So when he was filming, it was back in like 2000, 2001, right? So it's been over 20 years since those films were actually filmed. So cut the guy some slack, okay? I was over the moon when this scene came out. Watching Coruscant, before the dark days, like it's all like bright and wide and pretty. And then watching, Anakin and Obi-Wan taunt each other and practice. And of course, it's mirrored throughout the episode about how Obi-Wan knows Anakin, right? And therefore Vader. I did want to show you something that I saw earlier, and people were saying, guys, we have the technology to do this, right? They've done it like clockwork on the Marvel movies. They've de-aged, Nick Fury. They've de-aged Henry Pym. They've de-aged. Oh my God, what's his name? The guy who plays Tony Stark's dad. Anyway, they've done it quite a bit, right? Why couldn't we do it for this show? Again, guys, could they have done it? Yeah, probably. But does it really make you not enjoy the scene? Not to me. Like I loved it. Like I said, I didn't think we were gonna see Anakin so much, right? I thought we were gonna get a quick flashback, and that was it. This saber practice scene played out throughout the whole episode, right? Now, does this look more like the Anakin that we saw in episode 2? Yeah, of course. You know. Now, what another thing you gotta remind yourself is these shows are expensive, guys. They are really, really expensive. Okay. So if they choose not to use the technology, they probably have a really good reason behind it. Also, one thing, and again, this is just me like brainstorming why they wouldn't do this. One is money for sure. Two is time, and what I mean by that is maybe Hayden Christensen didn't come on board to the project early enough that the special effects people had enough time to apply all of the de-aging, tech to his shots. So maybe these were filmed at the end of the show. It could have been a lot of things. Another thing, and this is, I think, not on a lot of people's radar, maybe Hayden didn't want to go through the DH process. All right. Some of the actors are pretty much against doing things like this, right? They feel that if they can de-age them to this extent, what's to stop them from just completely computer generate them, right? Without them ever being in the scene. So again, it's just one of those things, guys. It could have been a lot of things. I am just happy that we saw Hayden Christensen, right, as Anakin again. Yeah, so that was the other thing too, because I don't know if she was playing it safe in the sense that she's like, well, I don't know if they're going back to Jabim or not. And again, she was more focused on Obi-Wan, right? So I think she was just playing it safe. Hey, in case they don't go back to Jabim, I have to know where they are going, right? And obviously, give Vader a live location. Oh man, yes. Which is also, I was over the moon on that one too. That Spider-Man movie is one of my all-time favorites now of anything ever made. But you're right, it was the same feeling. You guys are probably too young to remember, but Episode 2 and Spider-Man came out the same year. So yeah, so that year was crazy. That 2002 was pretty crazy. Okay, so we are back on Jabim with the members of the Path, and this is more of the of that fighting scene. Again, I love the way, even it was choreographed. I loved everything about it, honestly. So back on Jabim, that and Obi-Wan, he knows that they're short on time, right? He knows that eventually Vader is going to find them. So he's trying to get Leia out, but Ice Cube Jr. tells him, "Hey, we got hundreds of people here, and we were just waiting for you to return. Like some of them have been waiting for months so that we can smuggle them out, and I'm not gonna leave them, right?" So I thought that was a good scene because, of course, Obi-Wan is focused on Leia, right? But it took Ice Cube Jr. to make him see that she's not the only one that needs help. There's literally hundreds of people just there, trying to escape, like trying to find hope. And so that's when Obi-Wan is like, okay, you're right. Let's get these people out of here. And of course, the Vader arrives right in orbit. He sends down Reba with a bunch of troopers to try to bring down the door of the base where they are holding down out. And there's some fighting again. Some of it was not great. You had a stormtrooper here and you had a rebel here, and they kept shooting at each other and they kept missing, right? So some of that stuff was, again, it was kind of funny, honestly. Again, not that I particularly care. I just thought some of the scene angles could have been made to disguise that, right? Anyway, remember these are like families, right? These are just families that grab the gun and try to protect their kids and their loved ones. So I thought that was really cool because, again, you see like the seeds of the rebellion, right? Like these people had enough. These people, they have to do something, right? Nobody else is helping them, so they take up arms and they try to hold out as much as they can until they are able to, I think it was repair the dome door that was sabotaged, of course, to remain shut. So Obi-Wan goes out there and tells Reba, we got to negotiate. Of course, he finally calls out Reba by saying, why do you know that Anakin is Darth Vader? And she says, basically, because I was there uh, when he took down the whole Jedi Temple. And we get an awesome flashback again. We see Darth Vader, right? Hayden Christensen, um, with the 501st troopers arriving at the temple, and of course, basically killing off a bunch of kids and a bunch of Jedi and a bunch of people. And so it is revealed um, that Reba is was a youngling, right? She's one of the younglings we saw on that very first scene of the whole show, that very first episode. Honestly, to the surprise of no one, right? Worst kept secret. I think we all saw it coming a mile away. Still, not complaining. It was the obvious thing to do, and I enjoyed the flashback. I enjoyed the story of how she had to hide within the dead bodies of his friends. Again, I thought that was they add that layer of evil, right, to Vader and to the Empire. So Obi-Wan tells her, you should help me defeat him. I know you're hunting him. Basically, Reba's trying to kill Vader, right? And so she's like, no, I don't need you, blah blah. He uses her, right, saying that when he's distracted, then she can strike. So he puts them in the ship, and that's when we get honestly one of my favorite like scenes in anything Star Wars. So the ship is trying to leave. They finally fixed the roof hatch or the roof dome to open up. They bought enough time, while fighting, so that they could repair it. The ship takes off, and Vader's there, and he just pulls the whole thing just down with the Force. He stops it. The engines are going, the thrusters are going. He just stops it dead on its tracks. Yeah, I'll tell you, man. It's just like they've gone too deep, right? Like stormtroopers can't have good aim anymore. Like nobody would believe that. Yeah, there you go. So like I said, I think there's a good explanation of why maybe Hayden Christensen wasn't in all the scenes that Vader or Hayden, right, should have been. I think maybe he came in late to the production. Maybe a deal wasn't ready. I don't know, but I'm sure there's a good explanation. Maybe one day we'll get to it. Yeah, that was the other thing, and I'll talk about that right now. So anyway, Vader just literally rips apart that ship just with the Force, which I thought was the most like dark side thing I've seen in a long time. Turns out the ship is empty, and then from behind it, you see another ship just take off, right? Again, people are like, well, couldn't he stop that second ship? Well, that second ship had, was already in like second or third gear. Like it was just going, right? Anyway, and he had exerted himself stopping the first one, ripping it apart. So Reba sneaks behind him and thinks that this is a good opportunity to take him out, which of course does not work out at all. But we do get some awesome fighting scenes, and this one sort of illustrates my point that I want to make. I always wondered how Vader would fight against basically like a full Jedi, right? Like a full how can I say it? A regular uh, Jedi in his prime, right? How would Darth Vader fight a Jedi? And I always imagine that he can't be spinning around, twirling around like Anakin did, right? Not anymore. So he would have to, use the Force quite a bit. Even his lightsaber skills are not as good, obviously, as when Anakin was young and powerful. But um, but he basically just went all, like an evil kung fu master type of thing. Like he was just dodging lightsaber. He didn't even like parry with his lightsaber that much. He was using the force, like you see on this scene, to basically either push her away, stop her, deflect her. It was beautiful. Um, he obviously like steals her saber, um, and then he does this thing where he splits it apart, gives her one to fight, and he's using the other one. It's like the way I saw it is like you're not even worthy of me getting my own lightsaber out again and like killing you with it. So I'm just gonna kill you with yours. Um, exactly, man. Like when you make that crazy special move combo, like you gotta replenish that bar, right? Yes. So that is actually another good point, man. Like I said, they're not Obi-Wan or Yoda at their prime for sure, or even Mace Windu, right? But they have been trained. They are younger. No, they're not nearly as powerful as Darth Vader. But still, I was actually very satisfied with the how can I say, with the fighting style that they gave Vader for this particular scene. And then I love this scene where he has both lightsabers. It just reminded me so much of both Episode 2 and Episode 3, the films, when Anakin is fighting Count Dooku both times, right? In Episode 2, he had a green and blue lightsaber. In Episode 3, he had um, both. When he's about to kill Dooku, he has his lightsaber, Anakin's, and Dooku's, right? So he has two. So I thought this was pretty cool. A little homage, I think. And so, to surprise of no one again, our good third sister, Reva, gets stabbed again by Anakin. Again. He got stabbed, when she was a kid. She didn't die. Again, she hit. Um, and so, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think, like I said, I think it is to some degree just the exertion that making a move like that, like just it takes it out of you, right? At least for a few seconds. Do it. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought as well. Um, oh man, like this throughout this whole like 30 seconds when he's ripping the shit apart, like I lost it. I was literally screaming at the screen, at the TV. I was losing it, man. It was so awesome. Like just visually, just see him go wild. Like it was amazing. And so again, and then after she gets stabbed, again, surprise of no one, the actual Grand Inquisitor comes back. And this is a perfect example, guys, of why I keep saying, just wait, okay? This dude got taken out. What, the second part two of the show, and everybody was like, "No, that can't be. He shows up on Rebels. Why would they do this? This is all wrong." I'm like, you said it yourself. He shows up on Rebels, which is like 5 years after this in the storyline. Um, just wait, guys. I mean, it's obvious. If they could fix Fennec Shand with a Vespa like worth of parts in the sands of Tatooine, which is like the most unhygienic like operating, scenario that I could think of. For sure, this dude was gonna be just fine. So again, guys, let's just wait and see what happens. So Grand Inquisitor comes out. He's like, yeah, we basically played you, blah blah, and now you're gonna die. And then that was the other thing, right? People were complaining about Reba, being stabbed again and not dying again. Let's just wait to see that last episode, okay, tomorrow. Let's just wait to see what happens. There could be a perfect, good explanation for it. Maybe Vader let her live, maybe not. We don't know yet, okay? I say let's just hold off on, grabbing the pitchfork and the and burning down the place until we see the last episode. Which, wow, we're encroaching in an hour here. I didn't realize. Um, yeah. I mean, I have to say that. I mean, a slash at least cut off her hand, something. But yeah, I got you on that one. So let's talk real quick. I didn't realize the time flies so fast. So, what do you guys think is going to happen tomorrow? This was concept art shown before the show started, right? This was shown about, I don't know, about 9 months ago now. I'm hoping this is still going to be used and that there's going to be, it's not a final battle because we know they fight later, but a more decisive battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in a fiery setting, right? People kept saying that that's Mustafar. I don't know. I would love it if it is. If he has to go rescue the twins, or Luke, which we saw on the last shot of the last episode of part 5, if he has to go, if Luke gets kidnapped by the Inquisitors or Vader, and he has to go rescue him on Mustafar, that'd be awesome. I things I'm still hoping for, that I was hoping for from the beginning, Qui-Gon. Okay, I need Qui-Gon. He's been calling him by name. He's been, trying to connect with him every single episode, pretty much. And so I need him to show up. I need him to show up, at least his voice. Now, if Darth Vader learns about the twins at some point during the show, that, I'm gonna be real honest with you right now. I'm gonna call. I don't know that I can reconcile that. Okay, that fact. So I'm hoping it's not gonna be like that. I'm hoping that neither Vader nor the Emperor, nor the Grand Inquisitor, for that matter, learns of the twins. Reba learned of the twins because she picked up that holo communicator where Bail Organa is telling Obi-Wan, I'm worried about the twins. Has he learned about the twins? And again, that's why I told you guys, she was stabbed and then she found the communicator. So there might be a plot point there. Maybe she holds that information, which I'm really hoping she does. But otherwise, like I said, I'm gonna have a problem with Vader knowing about the. Yes, that's what I'm saying, man. At this point, I just want Qui-Gon, sorry. Yes, I wanted Yoda. Yes, of course, I wanted Quinlan Vos. I wanted, Cal Kestis. I want, Caleb Doom to show up. Even like a baby boy Ezra. Still, that's too much to hope for, maybe, but you never know. But I think Qui-Gon for sure, at least. Yeah, I agree. We know that both of them survived, right? We know the Grand Inquisitor survived. We know the fifth brother survived. I don't know about those two sisters. I don't remember. Like Freva, she probably won't survive. She might be drawn back to the light and get killed, holding down Vader so that they can all escape, something like that. But yeah, the minimum that I'm hoping for is a fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, and for Qui-Gon to show up. And again, I'm hesitant about the twins, but like I said, let's just wait till tomorrow and see what happens. Um, you guys excited? I am. I'm very excited that it's gonna be an hour and a half long. I think it deserves 2 hours, maybe three, to close up some of the stuff, properly. But we'll see. We'll see what they can come up with. We will see. Again, the media keeps calling it a series finale, which means there will be no more Obi-Wan TV show. But I am still holding a little bit of hope that we get a to be continued, legend at the end, or an after credit scene, or something that tells us that he might show up again. Um, and so I hope that's the yes, that's correct. That's the way he learns from it, from him, about him, in the new canon, right? But here's the thing: the question that Vader had asked Fett is who destroyed the Death Star, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean he didn't know that there was a Skywalker out there, right? He just didn't know that it was the actual Luke Skywalker that destroyed the Death Star. So they can sort of navigate that way, right? If they want to. Which I'm hoping we sort of stay away from the twins, um, I guess identity at this point. But it's pretty obvious we're not gonna. So we saw Luke, we've seen Leia, we saw the message, so it's coming. I am just hoping they do it right. Okay, I don't want Turns out now everybody knows about the twins. Oh man, they yeah, exactly. I feel that a second season would be good. I don't know about a third or a fourth, but I feel that a second season would do justice for the character. You know what, man? I'm actually gonna try. I might have to go into work late tomorrow. If I can't wake up early enough. Um, but yeah. So again, guys, this is just me talking without any real evidence. We hope that we get more Kenobi. If we don't, I'll tell you what. I'm just happy that this happened. Because you might not remember, but at some point we were just not gonna get a Kenobi at all. And so I'm just happy that we did. I'm just happy that this show exists. I'm super happy that Ewan and Hayden came back. The music on this show has been insanely great. So I'm happy with what we got. If this is it, this is fine. This is great. This was awesome, right? But of course, the Obi-Wan Kenobi fan in me wants more. All right, I want him to pop up in Ahsoka. I want him to pop up in Cassian, right, in Andor. I want him to pop up, in the Bad Batch, for that matter. Like, I just want to. If we don't get a full dedicated series anymore, I want him to be sprinkled over everything else that's coming for Star Wars. Again, that's just me being hopeful. And yeah, yeah, exactly. That would be freaking epic if they actually do that. Like Avengers or Marvel style announcement. It's like, yeah, Obi-Wan will come back in Episode 4, coming to theaters in 1977. So that would be awesome. If they do that, Disney, I won't complain ever again. Okay, guys. So before I let you go, and again, thank you so much for joining me. I always really appreciate it. I have a special announcement. Turns out, General Kenobi's bunker is turning 1 year old. That's right. In a few days, I would have been 1 year since I launched this channel. I want to thank you guys so much for it. Always like being there for me, watching the videos, joining the lives now. So we will be having a stream next Wednesday. So in 8 days, which is the 29th, if I remember correctly. Yes, 29. And I am working on my first guest for the show. I don't want to say who yet because I haven't gotten back to him, actually, now that I think about it. So we got to set that up. But hopefully, we will have our first guest here live on the show, and it will be the, I guess, the celebration episode as well for a 1 year on YouTube. So I hope that that you guys can join. I would really appreciate it if you stop by. Again, this will happen next Wednesday, June 29th. Time to be determined. Please follow me on Instagram. I will be posting there what time and confirming the date and a link to the live. Instagram is on the screen right now on that banner. So if you don't follow me there, please do so. That's where I post most of my updates and things that I find on toy hunts, etc. Also, I would love it if you can follow me on TikTok at general_Kenobis_bunker. I just reached 5,000 followers on TikTok, which is nuts. So I'm actually halfway through to being eligible to be monetized at TikTok, which again, just insane. So if you guys are not following me there, I would greatly appreciate it if you do. And again, the Instagram for updates. So let's check out those last. Yeah, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. It's kind of crazy to think that it's been 1 year. It's insane. Hey, Steven, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Dude, it's crazy. I've never in my wildest dreams did I think, one little TikTok was going to bring me literally 5,000 subscribers. Because before that video, I was at 300 followers for like months. Anyway, we can talk about that later. Okay, guys. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you tune in next week for the Kenobi's Bunker birthday celebration, we'll call it, or anniversary. And we might have a few surprises during the stream, but you would have to be present to find out. So once again, follow me on Instagram for all the updates. I thank you so much for joining me tonight. I had a blast. 1 hour went by and I didn't even realize it. I had more stuff to talk about, but don't worry, we'll probably run a little bit long on next week's again, since we might have a guest on the show. So I thank you, every single one of you, for watching. Thanks for joining me, and may the force be with you. Y'all have a good night.